Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque hits back at the DOJ over supposed fake news about his asylum bid.
The Justice Department will verify a claim by the whistleblower that missing Sabongeros were buried in Taal Lake.
The LTFRB signals a possible 1 peso fare increase for jeepneys.
The Philippine National Police taps social media personality Rendon Labador as a fitness coach for their 93-day weight loss program.
First in the news, embattled former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque fires back at the Justice Department over his supposed fake news about his asylum bid. Here's the report.
Former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque lashes out at the Justice Department. In an interview with 1PH sa Totoo Lang, he challenges them to arrest him if they claim he's on the run.
Come and get me. Ready pala sila sa akin, ba't hindi nila ako makuha?
Roque also slammed the DOJ's intelligence, calling it incompetent and a waste of public funds. He questioned how confidential funds are being spent if authorities rely on inaccurate information.
Maling-mali ang intelligence. Ano ba yan? Yan ang dapat imbestigahan ng confidential funds. Kasi kung yan ang pinagagastusan ng confidential funds, sayang talaga ang pera ng kaban ng bayan. Dahil wala po talagang katotohanan yung sinasabi nila.
Recall that DOJ Secretary Boying Remulla earlier stated reports that Roque was in Germany because his asylum request in the Netherlands was rejected. Roque was quick to refute this, saying he was just invited by Filipinos to an event. Meanwhile, Roque became emotional talking about his family. He is blaming the Marcos administration for separating him from his loved ones and forcing him into exile.
Well, yan po ang pinakamasakit, no? Kaya nga po hindi ko mapapatawad itong gobyerno ni Marcos Jr. sa kanilang pagigipit sa akin. Nawalay po talaga ako sa aking pamilya nung ako'y request ni VP Sara na sumunod nga dito sa The Hague. No? Pero ganun pa man, inaasahan namin na at some point in the near future, kami po'y makakapagsama-sama na muli.
Roque and several other accused are facing an arrest warrant for qualified human trafficking. This is in connection to their alleged involvement in the illegal operations of Pogo. For News 5, Camille Samonte, we are One News.
In other news, the 34 cockfight enthusiasts who have been missing for 4 years are dead and were buried in Taal Lake in Batangas. That's according to one of the accused in the kidnapping case. Here's the report.
The Justice Department will verify the testimony of a whistleblower who recently surfaced with information regarding the disappearance of more than 30 cockfighting enthusiasts or sabongeros. The whistleblower revealed that all 34 missing individuals were already dead and that their bodies were dumped in Taal Lake. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla said the whistleblower's claim is plausible, especially since there has been no trace of where the victims were taken.
Marahil kailangan ng technical diver yan. Pagka ma-determine natin ang veracity ng information, we will need technical divers to do it kasi malalim din yan. And it's not easy to go into a lake bed to look for human remains.
The DOJ is open to speaking with the whistleblower to verify the details he can provide as part of the case build-up. Authorities are also studying whether he can be placed under the Witness Protection Program.
Pwede yan. Pagka we-vet natin, pag-aaralan natin yung sinasabi niya. Kasi may hawak na mga ibang testigo eh. Pero marahil, kung kakausapin ko, kung sino man ang gustong pumunta rito upang magsabi ng katotohanan. Kasi nga, ano to eh, nasa kaluluwa to ng Pilipino eh. It's in the very soul, it's very much into the question of the Filipino soul. How we can put to rest things that happen to us. Hindi natin pwedeng pabayaan to and just let it go. We have to be responsible enough to seek the truth.
The Philippine National Police said it is also ready to search Taal Lake to determine whether the remains of the missing sabongeros are indeed there. But officials warned that the process could take time.
Ilang taon na po ang lumipas, kung talagang doon po nailibing yan ay we don't expect siguro na may makikita pa tayo na mga bangkay dyan. If not, siguro yung mga remains na lang o yung mga buto. So it will take a long process.
The PNP likewise said it is willing to provide security for the whistleblower.
Si Chief mismo ay daling ko para makausap po nitong witness po na yon. Kailangan na siya mismo ang sumama at doon sa itutuko niyang lugar.
Meanwhile, the DOJ assured the families of the victims that efforts to seek justice remain active. The agency vowed to hold those behind the crime accountable.
Tagal na itong usapin na
issue,
to.
no? Tagal na itong issue na to. Yung
nagkaroon pa ng hearing, di ba, sa Senate para pag-usapan ko ano yung nangyari. And
ito yung
then,
mga ibang video na pagdukot Oo.
Anim yun ng mga sabongero. They left at the home.
Pero lahat-lahat, ilan? 34?
Ito, sabi, January 13 kasi, 6 sabongeros left Tanay, Rizal at around 1 a.m. and head to the Manila Arena to join a 6-cock stag derby. Tapos later on, the victims are forced to board a gray van at around 7:30 p.m. and are never seen again.
But yung pala, we're talking about more, aside from these 6, di ba? And sabi
Tapos
nga
siyempre, yung mga families.
Sabi nga ng whistleblower, ang sinasabi niya, according to him, more than 100, about 100 plus sabongeros daw.
Even daw mga
napatay
drug
nila.
lords, gano'n. Doon daw nila nilalagay sa Taalik.
May mga groups daw yan Unang group daw yung magdadakip, tapos i-interview niya yung mga sabongero. Kasi papasa sa pangalawang grupo, yun ata yung supposedly, yun ang pumapatay sa mga inuutos sa...
Siyempre, they will have to verify these claims, Hindi mo basta pwede maniniwala. Pero they have to go there. Sabi, tactical divers daw ang kailangan dyan kasi malalim.
Saka ituturo daw ng guy mismo.
Kung saan yung
sa harapan
area
mismo ni General, sa PNP chief So I surmise, siyempre, it's General Torre. To avoid any security risk daw or banta sa buhay nitong whistleblower.
May ibang mga na-arresto related to this case and if I'm not mistaken, nag-ask pa sila nag-grant yung bail nila for provisional release. Pero naharang yun ng korte din kasi may nag-appeal. Kaya hindi naman sila natuloy na nakapag-bail. But yun nga, this is a development doon sa kaso nila. Napakatagal na nga na itong usapin ito. Remember, there were hearings before sa Senate to tackle this case and yung mga families of the victims were there, 'di ba? Para nga hingin yung justice kasi hindi nila alam kung ano nangyari dun sa pamilya nila Bigla na lang nawala.
Parang linibing sa perimeter ng Taalik lupa or they were thrown into the lake mismo. Kasi if thrown into the lake yan, wala na yung body niyan because yung nature ng tubig ng Taalik, ang taas ng acidity level. Tsaka may mga times sa alkalinic yan, tas may sulfur pa yan. So yung decay ng body, mabilis. Kaya sabi ni General Fajardo, na yan, if ever mahanap, buto na lang yan.
Yeah. Pero yun nga, dito rin nagkaroon kasi ng issue talaga yung isabong Diba? And then during the Duterte time, nagkaroon pa ng parang miscommunication na kung ipapasara ba lahat. Tapos sinabi pa ni President Duterte at that time that we earn 640 million a month, 'di ba? From isabong. So sabi nung iba, pwede daw na imbestigahan na lang o pasara na lang yung mga under investigation pero yung iba let it operate. So ang laking ang laking usapin yan at that time, 'di ba? Until sa such time na in order na sige, imbestigahan at isara na muna yung mga isabong yan because nga more than the money, ito yung nangyayari sa mga. Parang pogo din
Parang pogo.
Parang
Anything na may gambling component na online, hirap i-regulate
Right.
Malaking pera ang pinag-uusapan yan. So, siyempre, yung mga people behind it, yung syndicate na sinasabi, hindi papayag na mawala ng pera ng malaki.
Exactly.
Yeah. Alright, Vice President Sara Duterte will not attend President Bongbong Marcos' State of the Nation address this year. House Secretary General Reginald Velasco said the House received a letter from the Office of the Vice President or OVP declining the invitation for the President's 4th SONA on July 28. No reason was given as to why VP Sara declined the formal invitation. Duterte first skipped the President's SONA last year, weeks after she resigned from the cabinet. When asked for her reason, recalled that Duterte quipped that she was declaring herself as the designated survivor.
We have received a letter from the office that she is not attending. But we are not excluding the possibility that she will attend, no? So there will be a seat for her reserved at the center of the gallery, the VIP gallery. So if she decides to come, there will be a seat for her and her immediate staff. In fact, we will designate a holding room, for our Vice President and her staff, as we have done in the past.
Tingnan mo ba kung mag-attend o hindi at kung
Oo nga,
bakit?
but obvious naman talaga na.
Pero syempre, we don't want to... Ayaw naman
Well, gusto natin for the record. May invitation, di ba?
Tsaka-
Nasa ano naman kung gusto umattend.
Ano tsaka notable ha? Before notable.
Alin?
Moo ka.
Ano?
Nawala ako. Wait. Ayun, before the SONA of the President kasi magko-convene yung 19th to 20th Congress. And we all know that what is expected sa 20th Congress is baka i-tackle yung impeachment at i-announce a trial proper will happen. So parang awkward naman na if yan ang i-tackle, tas nandyan yung VP, di ba? Plus, alam natin yung breakup, yung bitter breakup nila.
Which was 1 year na from yesterday.
Oo, very bitter. Tapos after her speech about yung West Philippine Sea, tatapon yung remains ng former President Marcos Sr., parang you don't expect naman her attendance anymore.
Yeah, but last year din naman, hindi din siya nag-attend. But also, of course, as I've said kanina, formality, lahat naman talaga ng mga officials of our land
have a seat.
Yeah, even the past presidents, di ba? The invitations are also extended to President Joseph Estrada, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo is also now a congresswoman in Pampanga. So, may mga sila doon, may mga upuan.
Tsaka ang protocol na yun is kung that seat is still reserved for that high-ranking personality, na kung hindi mo pupunta, makikita mo minsan.
Empty yun.
Butas. So, makikita mo kung alam mo yung arrangement, makikita mo kung sinong wala.
Yeah. So ngayon, ang tanong dito, a-attend ba si Senator Amy Marcos? Yun. Kasi the last time, she attended naman. And she's a sitting senator. And this year, I don't know, kasi medyo maraming nangyari within the period of a year.
She has to, she will be in Batasan because...
Yeah, she will be there in Batasan for the 20th Congress. Pero we'll see, no? Of course, abangan natin ano yung magiging report ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa kanyang State of the Nation address. Diba? I'm sure kasama dyan yung kanyang 20 pesos sa kilo rice. And marami pang iba.
Marami pang iba.
Alright, in other news, the Philippine Navy has seized around 1.5 tons of suspected shabu valued at 10 billion from a fishing vessel off the coast of Zambales early Friday morning. According to the Navy, the vessel is registered in the Philippines but had foreign nationals on board. This is one of the largest drug seizures in the history of the Philippine Navy. The confiscated drugs will be transported to the Naval Operating Base in Subic, Zambales for documentation and turnover to the proper authorities.
10 billion, malaki
yun. And I was also checking kanina, meron din nakita sa may Cavite naman.
Floating also?
No, hindi naman siya floating sa, ang tawag dito, sa, where's that, 240 million naman, nasa suitcase sa Naik Cavite, security
These are
guard.
big,
security guard naman, oo.
These are big volumes, 10 billion. And isipin mo, buti na sabat yan kasi kung umabot sa street yan, ang daming nasisirang buhay. 10 billion worth, ikakalat mo sa kalye.
Ang parang nagiging sistema daw kasi ngayon, yung dead drop. Yung lalagyan lang ng, alam natin sa mga movies na nagagawa talaga in real life, nilalagyan lang ng palatandaan ng ribbon, ito yung
because
pipick
to
upin.
avoid na mahuli sila.
Physical arrest, diba?
Physical arrest. Okay.
Alright, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News.
Lahat po ng mapapanood ninyo sa susunod na mga eksena ay fake. Tandaan nyo po yan.
Ngayon, sobrang dali na gumawa ng fake na video. Mukha, boses, pwedeng gayahin. Parang totoo, pero hindi.
Yung fake videos, pwedeng gamitin yan para manghingi ng OTP, password, o mag-spread ng maling impormasyon. Gaya nito.
Bro, legit to. High return in just 3 months. Wala kang gagawin.
Oo, boss. Bayad ka. Minimum lang 50,000. May 100,000 ka na bukas.
Oops. Fake lahat to. Pati kami FAK.
Nanalo ako. Pero kailangan daw ng 1,000 pesos. Tsaka OTP. Anong OTP?
Inday, na-aksidente si sir. Nasa ospital. Karon dayon nagpadala og kwarta.
Unsa? Ay, fake pala ako. Pati itong buong eksena.
Good morning po. May promo tayo ngayon. Tataasan natin ang credit limit ninyo.
Alright.
Pakisend po ng picture ng credit card nyo.
Oops. Fake to.
Ingat tayong lahat sa fake. Gaya namin.
Lahat kami dito fake.
Pakipadala ng email address at phone number. Oops, fake ako. Sorry, tita. Fake ako.
Ow, I miss you.
Sorry. Fake kami.
Gagawa ko ng batas na lahat ng senior high school students kailangan mag-necktie.
Bakit po necktie, sir?
Sa ikauunlad ng bayan, neckties ang kailangan. Ay, fake pala ako, pati itong press con.
Fake news and fake videos will become an even bigger problem. Pati lahat ito fake.
Ang nakakagulat, sobrang dali na gumawa ng video gamit ang AI. Sobrang galing na nito at gagaling pa.
Ang good news, mukhang mas madaling gumawa ng AI-generated video kesa magpaloko, kahit gano'ng kagaling pa yan.
Lalo na kaming mga kabataan ngayon, hindi na kami basta-basta maluloko.
Hindi mo kami maluloko, AI!
Gayunpaman, there are people we care about who can fall for this. At aminin, baka one day, mabiktima ka rin.
Saka sa totoo lang, lahat ng scam na to, lumana. But we've seen that every old scam tries to use the newest technology.
We have also seen that even the oldest scams and the newest toys are no match for knowledge, awareness, and watching out for each other.
Kaya let's be aware. Magtulungan tayo na maintindihan ng bawat isa ang mga nakikita at napapanood natin.
Uulitin ko lang ha, ang lahat ng nakita nyo, fake. Walang totoong tao dito. Pati ako fake. Okay, thanks, bye.
Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. President Bongbong Marcos addressed key infrastructure and transport issues in his exclusive interview with News 5. On the power crisis in Siquijor, Marcos said 2 generators have already been transferred from Palawan to help stabilize electricity supply. He confirmed that they are reviewing the contract of SIPCOR, the private power provider, over potential non-compliance.
And the way we fix the problem, we brought 2 generators from Palawan. They are now in Siquijor. They're already functioning. Maayos na. We even had to provide the fuel. In advance pa ng gobyerno yung fuel. Dahil hindi naman kami dapat ang gagastos dyan eh. Rene-review na namin. Pero alam mo, like any contract, kung non-compliant ka, that breaks the contract.
The president also addressed the San Juanico Bridge repairs, noting decades of neglected maintenance. Marcos admitted the bridge's decay could have been avoided and warned of consequences for agencies that delay repairs.
Ang San Juanico Bridge, lahat ng mga tulay, kailangan may maintenance yan, major maintenance yan every 3 years. Bago ka mag-maintenance, pupuntahan mo, titignan mo ano yung sira, ano yung kailangan, ano yung aayusin, bawat span, titignan mo. Nagulat ang aming mga engineers, sabi nila, malala na pala ito. Dahil yung maintenance sa nakaraang ilang dekada, hindi naman ginawa.
The Department of Transportation has ordered NLEX Corporation to suspend toll collection in the northbound Marilao segment of the North Luzon Expressway after a fatal accident involving an overheight truck that struck the Marilao Interchange Bridge anew. Here is the report.
Repairs are now underway at the Marilao Interchange Bridge on NLEX after a truck crashed into it, dislodging a beam that fell and crushed an AUV. The accident left 1 person dead and 6 others injured. A similar incident happened in March when another truck struck the same bridge, prompting the temporary closure of 2 lanes. A stop-and-go traffic scheme is now in place, causing delays for many motorists.
Nakakalit sa trabaho sa Rabala. Ang hirap, 2 oras bago makakarating sa pilahan po namin. Kaya ang hirap din po kami sa pamamasada po eh.
Following the accident, the Department of Transportation ordered NLEX Corporation to suspend toll collection in the northbound Marilao segment. Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon called the crash an unacceptable failure of operational diligence and expressed frustration over repeated incidents involving overheight vehicles. NLEX was also given 3 working days to explain why it should not face administrative sanctions, including possible suspension or modification of toll privileges. In response, NLEX Corporation said it is coordinating with the DOTR, Toll Regulatory Board, and the Philippine National Police to investigate the incident. For News 5, Gerard De La Peña, we are One News.
Meanwhile, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board has signaled a possible 1 peso fare increase for jeepneys. According to LTFRB Chairman Chofino Guadis, the hike will be across the board with no per kilometer adjustment to avoid burdening commuters. The board may announce the increase next week if global oil prices exceed $80 per barrel. As of now, Dubai crude is nearing that threshold at around $70 per barrel. The proposed hike comes in response to transport groups' call to ease the impact of rising operational costs.
Now let's get some reactions about that from our transport group.
We have Modi Floranda, National President of Piston, joining us now via Zoom. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Ka Modi.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong dalawa at sa ating mga tagapanood.
Opo.
Bye-bye. Magandang umaga.
Opo. Sir, gusto lang po natin na i-confirm kung kasama po ba yung grupo po ninyo sa umapela ng taas pasahe?
Sa bahagi po ng Piston ay wala po tayong pinapile sa LTFRB kaugnay dito sa mga ng dagdag pasahe dahil ang tingin natin ay mawawalan din ng saysay. Lalo na sa ngayon ay malaking napipintong planong pagtataas na halos sa abot ng 5 pesos per liter, yung may dadagdag next week. Kaya yung piso ay hindi na mararamdaman ng sektor ng transportasyon yan, magdudulot lamang yan ng kalituhan at pahirap sa ating mga driver, sa ating mga commuters, sa ating mga mamamayan. Kaya masan sa amin ay masan tingin po namin ay dapat ang aksyonan ng gobyerno dito yung pagtanggal doon sa masyadong mataas na buwis sa produktong petrolyo. Dahil kung titingnan po natin, ay mula po noong 2024 hanggang sa ngayon, ay halos maabot na po ng 13,500 pesos yung nawawalang kita ng ating mga driver at mga operator na dapat ito ay nagagamit na doon sa pangangailangan ng pamilya.
So Kamodi, ang hinihingi nyo, imbis na magtaas ng fare hike, magtaas ng presyo ng pamasahe, mag-ano na lang, yung tinatawag nilang excise tax ay tanggalin?
Opo, mas yung nakikita natin na magre-resolve doon sa kalagayan natin sa ngayon para hindi lamang yung isang sektor yung makinabang, kundi ang makinabang yung ating mga mamamayan. Sapagkat pag tinanggal po natin yung excise tax sa langis at bawasan yung VAT sa langis, ay may malaking epekto yan pagbaba ng mga bilihin. At kahit papaano ay makakasabay yung maliit na kita at sahod ng ating mga manggagawa at ng ating mga mamamayan.
Kamodi, so yung pagtanggal, ito ba ay naipaabot nyo na sa LTFRB or sa Department of Transportation? At open ba kayo if ever? Kasi napag-usapan ata ito noon na pwedeng pag-usapan daw ang suspension ng excise tax kung hindi pwedeng tanggalin.
Opo, at malino na natin na ilalatag yan dahil sa mga sharing na mga naganap na mga dialogue noon na talagang sinasabi natin na mas ang kailangan talagang galawin dito yung VAT at yung excise tax sa langis. At kung hindi man kaya talagang totally na mawala yan, at least bawasan ng yung VAT, bawasan ng 6%, yung sa excise tax ay bawasan din, at malaking tulong, hindi lamang po sa ating sektor, kundi sa buong mamamayan.
Opo, Kamodi, meron po kasing sinasabi dito din yung mga bus company naman, nag-withdraw daw po ng kanilang request for a fare hike dahil daw mas bumababa ngayon yung mga sumasakay sa kanila dahil mas marami na ngayon na sumasakay sa mga bus, sa mga modern jeepney, sa mga yung mga TNVS, yung sa mga traditional jeepney po ba natin, may ganun din po ba tayo nakikitang problema?
Sa atin ay hindi naman tayo nawawala ng pasahero kasi mas mababa yung ating pamasahe. Kahit sa mga modern ay mas mababa yung pamasahe natin sapagkat minimum po natin ay 13 pesos lamang yung ating minimum at yung sa modern ay umaabot po ng 15 yung kanilang minimum na pamasahe. Kaya tayo naman ay sa bahagi natin ay hindi naman natin nakikita na makaka-epekto itong plano ng LTFRB.
Kamodi, para maintindihan din ng publiko, no? Kasi medyo mahirap din ang sitwasyon ng mga driver natin dahil very erratic, paiba-iba po ang presyo ng gasolina. So, on a daily basis, on the average, magkano ba ang netong na iuwi ng isang driver natin para sa pamilya niya?
Sa ngayon po ay kung bumibiyahe ang isang driver ng 12 to 16 hours o hanggang 18 hours, ay nakakapag-uwi sila ng 600 hanggang 700.
For 18 hours?
Na yun na po yung kanilang, yun na yung kanilang take home, yun na yung kanilang para sa kanilang pamilya. Ang isang nagiging malaking problema din natin, kinabukasan ay walang biyahe yung ating mga driver kasi meron silang karelibo sa mga sasakyan.
So yung 18 hours na yun, Kamodi, parang double shift na yun sa kanila. So in essence, kung 600 to 800, lumalabas parang 300 yan per day.
Opo. Yun po yung lumalabas po.
Kamodi, meron din po ba tayong balita tungkol dun sa mga impormasyon na nai-relay po sa inyo tungkol dun sa programa ng pamahalaan, yung kanilang i-roll out soon na 2.5 billion pesos na fuel subsidy sa mga jeepney, sa mga bus, and the rest?
Sa atin ay kung sa biglang tingin po ay makakatulong yung ibibigay nilang subsidiya. Palagyan natin na 6,500 na naman yan. Pero pag tininan po natin sa pangmatagalan, ang 6,500 po halos 4 na araw lamang na kinukonsume ng ating mga driver at mga operator. Kahit ang sinasabi nga po namin, sa isang tingin makakatulong, pero sa esensya hindi po nire-resolve yung usapin ng patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo. Kaya matan sa atin, mas ang tinutulak natin, kung kaya magbigay ng subsidy, bakit hindi nyo kayang ikansila yung mataas na buwis sa produktong petrolyo para hindi lamang yung mga driver at mga operator yung makinabang, kundi pati yung ating mga mamamayan ay makinabang. Dahil alam naman natin na kapag bumaba po yung presyo ng petrolyo, bababa yung mga pangunahing serbisyo at pangangailangan po ng ating mga mamamayan.
Pero Kamodi, nakapag-usap na ba kayo with Secretary Vince about yung mga possible programs?
Hindi pa po. Dahil nung kami nagpitik sa DOTR, nung nakaraang linggo ay gusto natin siyang makausap, pero ang batay doon sa kanyang staff ay wala daw siya sa DOTR, kaya hindi po tayo nakaharap.
Paano, Kamodi, kaya kung hindi talaga kaya, sabihin na natin hindi kaya tanggalin ng excise tax or bawasan, amenable ba kayo na pag-usapan na magtaas pasahe na lang, na may mekanismo na kung ito ang tinaas ng fuel, may nagtitrigger na automatic taas pasahe, tapos pag bumaba, babalik sa dati?
Mas mahirap po yun na parang pinaglalaroan natin yung usapinong pamasahe. Dahil malaking epekto din yan sa ating mismong mga commuters. Kaya talagang ang sinasabi natin, kung magbibigay ng pagtaas ng pamasahe, halimbawa, yung sinasabi ni Chairman Guadis na magbibigay sila ng piso, ay malaking kabawasan din yan doon sa ating mga commuters, sa ating mga mamamayan. Kaya mas ang talagang tingin natin ay dapat talagang umaksyon mismo si Bongbong Marcos na kung paano niya isuspindi o bawasan yung mataas na buwis sa produktong petrolyo. Kasi ang sinasabi nga po namin, mula po noong 2024 hanggang sa ngayon, halos 13,500 pesos na yung nawawalang kita ng ating mga driver at mga operator. Ay walang ginagawa yung ating pamahalaan para matugunan yung pangangailangan ng ating mga driver.
Siguro hingi na lang din po kami ng tugon po mula po sa inyong grupo tungkol po dito sa mga ilang mga pagbabago at pagkilala ng DOTR doon sa PUV Modernization Program.
Sa atin ay ang sinasabi natin kay Secretary Bindison na tayo nakipagtalastasan sa kanya ay sa balangkas ito dapat nung rehabilitation. At mas dapat ang suportahan ng gobyerno yung ating mga lokal na mga bodybuilder. Halimbawa, yung Francisco, yung Skipper Motor, yung Saraw at iba pang mga lokal na gumagawa ng ating public transport. Mas dapat ito yung tulungan ng ating pamahalaan sapagkat kapag ito po ang tinulungan ng gobyerno, pag-angat po ng ating ekonomiya at pagluluwal yan na mas maraming trabaho sa ating mga lokal na mga manggagawa. At siyempre, yung pinakaano pa rin yan, pagkakapagmintina ng hanap buhay ng ating mga driver at mga operator. Pero dahil kung sa usapin ng programa po ng PTMP ay lagi tayo nakatanaw sa mga dayuhan, ay kailanman hindi po unlad yung ating public transport. Ang ang pinapaunlad lang po natin dito, yung mga foreign o yung mga dayuhan.
Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Modi Floranda, National President of Piston.
Maraming salamat po at maraming salamat. Ingat po kayo lagi.
Alright, don't go away. We're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News at dahil Friday
It's Friday
ngayon.
today.
We are joined by our regular fare, a regular stomach filler na Buddha's Belly.
Yes.
May
Thank you, Marjorie.
Marjorie had sent us over, I think, fried rice, ampalaya with pork. Am I correct?
And of course, our dim sum platter.
Of course, favorite ni Angel dyan, yung kakao. So, mamaya after the show, mag-unwind at kami ay kakain.
Kakain ka ng konti lang kasi bawal daw magpalaki ng tiyan. Ay, PNP lang pala yun.
Hindi man ako police. May sinasabi ata.
Mamaya pag-usapan natin.
Sinasabi ka ata.
No, hindi. Wala. Alright.
Wait lang. Akin to. Alright. The first group of Filipinos seeking repatriation from Israel due to its conflict with Iran could arrive in the Philippines this weekend. Here's our report.
Weeks since the exchange of firepower between Israel and Iran broke out, fighting has become much more intense. Now, missiles are being launched left and right, and day and night no less. Iran has started targeting hospitals, and Israel has retaliated by bombing the Iranian Red Crescent Society and police headquarters in Tehran. The death toll is still rising on 224 in Iran, 24 in Israel. The warring parties are drawing deeper into their arsenal. Iran has resorted to using hypersonic missiles to avenge Israel's bombing of their nuclear site on June 13. The Middle Eastern country now has Yemen on its side, but Israel is still bent on ensuring all of Iran's nuclear and ballistic resources will get wiped out. That's especially since the United States seems to have taken a stand for Tel Aviv.
And at the end, last minute, they said, no, we're not going to do that, and they got hit. Remember 60 days, and then came the 60. 61 is going to become a very famous number.
We know right now that Tehran understands exactly what the president is saying. He said 60 days. The world can believe it, and the world cannot believe it. He said 60 days. They had an opportunity to make a deal. They should have made a deal. President Trump's word means something. The world understands that.
But Tehran is adamant. It will not give in to imposition and even warned Washington that any meddling or intervention at this point would be 100% detrimental to the world superpower. As the war rages on, exit plans of various nations for their citizens are in place, but several have to wait for evacuation. At least 178 Filipinos have been begging to leave Israel and have requested repatriation, but the Israel airspace is still closed. The only option for evacuees now is to take the long route, a 2-hour land travel to Jordan, then off to their next destinations. This is the route taken by 21 Philippine government officials who had been stranded for a while in Israel. They are now safe in Jordan. The Department of Migrant Workers is also closely monitoring the condition of 7 Filipinos who got wounded after a missile hit their home.
One of them, as you know, in critical condition, successful ang operation as far as we know, but still praying that she will get well soon.
On the other hand, in Iran, 14 Filipinos, including 10 tourists, have requested repatriation, but they have to travel by land to Turkmenistan for almost 1 whole day. Mobile journalist Marymon Reyes, we are One News.
We have to remember also kasi na until now, hindi pa tayo in mandatory repatriation. No? Although sabi nga nung nakausap natin the other day, si DFA Undersecretary De Vega, although prepared naman, no? But the Philippines is preparing na dun sa kanilang mga mandatory evacuation. But for now, hindi pa. So mga ano lang yan, not evacuation, repatriation.
But in a wider perspective kasi, this is a long drawn out conflict, not only with Israel, but with the US as well. Because ang sinasabi ng mga Western powers, they are very iffy about the nuclear development program ng Iran. Iran claims naman it's for energy. But kasi ang pinopoint out dati ng CIA nila na may reports that there was uranium enriched facilities na which you don't use really uranium big amounts for energy. You use the small amounts possible for energy, but the big amounts
for weapons.
For weapons yun. So, kumbaga, ano yung significance ng Israel in all of this? Well, Israel was, if you look at its history, it was supposedly placed in by Western foreign powers. That land was given to them amidst the Muslim community to provide balance sa Middle East. Kasi Middle East is dominated by Muslim communities. So they needed a balance in that area. So ngayon, instead of US hypothetically fighting the Iran deal with nuclear development, yung gagawa nito is Israel. Ang kapalit niyan, US for stabilizing the region or Western powers will provide Israel with the necessary arsenal and upgrade of the military. Pero for context, Israel is not the largest military sa Middle East. Medyo maliit, but it's the most. Iran is still one of the biggest, but Israel is one of the most advanced in the region. So kahit
kaya
konti
yung
sila,
Iron Dome nila.
not only the Iron Dome, but they make up for it with the kinds of weapons that they have. Hindi nila kailangan ng malaking army.
Right. But going back to the lives of our OFWs there, sabi nga nila, aside from Israel, may mga nag-contact din sa OWA, 'di ba, na gusto rin umuwi from Filipinos from Iran, Jordan, Lebanon, no, tsaka Iraq.
Tsaka well, before we move forward, we hope for peace because not only Pinas or it's the whole world will be affected if this escalates. Ang ayaw natin, ang iniiwasan natin is a holy war or tinatawag nilang jihad. Pag tumulong ng ibang Muslim countries sa Iran,
nagkampi-kampihan na.
Nagkampi-kampihan na.
All right, in other news, the government is intensifying its efforts to shut down thousands of illegal gaming websites that continue to operate in the country. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro made the statement amid growing concerns over the social impact of online casino games, especially those known as scatter. She clarified, though, that scatter is offered through licensed gaming platforms which have safeguards in place to prevent access by known gambling addicts. But Castro stressed that the real threat lies in the spread of unlicensed, illegal gaming sites that continue to target Filipinos.
Ang problema po ngayon ng gobyerno ay marami pong illegal na gaming website. At meron na po silang 7,000 website na naipasara. Ito ay pinapaalam po sa DICT para po maipasara. Yun lamang po, kapag po naipasara, mag-iiba na naman ng website. So, pero hindi po titigil ang PAGCOR at ang DICT sa pagtanggal ng mga ganitong klaseng website.
Yung mga legit na mga online gaming platforms na 'yon, usually makikita mo 'yun sa mga e-wallets or naka-attach sa link ng PAGCOR yung online gaming. Alam mo yung totoo 'yan. Karamihan sa mga fake ang nirereklamo,
mga illegal.
Mga illegal at yung fake gaming, nakikita mo 'yan daw sa text. Usually sa text i-send sa yung message and link. May na-deposit na 2,000, bibigyan ka ng kunyari 2,000. Magsimula ka, tapos itatalo mo yan, tapos magpapasok ka. Usually, sa mga fake, ang nangyayari, yung deposit money mo na gamitin mo for yung gambling, bigla na lang mawawala at technical glitch ang sasabihin. So, kailangan discern kung saan ka. If you are into this online gaming, punta ka sa legit sites. So, you could have it in all the e-wallet platforms, the link sa PAGCOR. Very obvious naman.
Yung nga, di ba sinasabi nga dito nila Yusa Castro, no, na yung mga license na gaming sites, meron silang feature doon na pwede kang dumulog.
Yes.
Diba? Na kunyari nakikita mo na medyo nalululong na yung member of your family dito sa laro na to para maban yung tao sa paglalaro. Unlike doon sa mga illegal website. Ang nagiging problema nila ito, sa dami na daw ng mga napapasara nila ng mga website. Ang nangyayari, lumilipat lang din sila sa iba pang website. So, parang yun yung challenge ng government to regulate at saka mitigate, maban talaga yung mga illegal gaming sites.
Kasi sa physical casinos, may yung sinasabi ni Yuse Claire Castro, may ganun din. Na kung your family member is lulong na sa gambling, ilalagay mo lang yung name mo. That's why, di ba, when you enter yung casinos, meron silang yung scanner, sa face scanner. So, kung ang face mo at yung name mo at yung biometrics mo na submit, kunyari ng asawa, or ng brother, father, mother, sister, ganon, at may hit ka, hindi ka papapasukin at ipapagambol. May ganun mechanism na ang nagiging problem
unlike
lang,
dun sa illegal gaming, walang ganun.
Oo, medyo tricky kasi dito sa online eh. Medyo very tricky eh.
Alright.
Alright, the Philippine National Police tapped social media personality Rendon Lavador as a fitness coach for their 93-day weight loss program. Here's our report.
After PNP Chief General Nicolas Torre III announced that police officers who failed to meet physical fitness standards may be dismissed from service, personnel at Camp Crame in Quezon City took part in a group workout. Leading the session was none other than content creator Rendon Lavador.
Tawagin niyo akong pambansang coach ng kapulisan.
Lavador has been tapped by the PNP to lead their 93-day fitness challenge. He'll offer free workout sessions and nutrition guidance.
Nandito po ako para bantayan sila, bantayan ang resulta, i-guide sila, at i-motivate, syempre. Baliwala kasi yung exercise natin, pagda-diet natin kung hindi ka motivated sa buhay.
According to Republic Act 6975 or the DILG Act of 1990, a police officer's weight should not be more than or less than 5 kilos from the standard based on height, age, or gender. Those who fail to meet the requirement within a year could face dismissal.
Obviously, pag sobrang laki ng waistline mo, lalampas ka sa plus 5 ng standard weight and height. So, you'll be failing in that matter. So, you have to do something to comply with the law.
Officers must also pass the annual physical fitness test, and failing twice could affect their eligibility for promotion.
Physical appearance somehow would command respect, would command authority. So siguro it is incumbent upon every police officers to at least maintain a physical appearance acceptable for a police officer. Ayaw niya siyang nakakita nung ang taba-taba kasi kung ang role nga naman ng police ay tawag dito ay tumakbo, paano ka nga naman makakatakbo kung halos hindi mo na mabitbit yung sarili mo.
Officers on 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. shifts are now allowed to participate in workouts every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m.
Sa mga testers natin, ilulusot at sasabihin na itong tao na to pasado sa 40 push-ups na requirement. At pag ako'y nagduda at nasalubong ko yung pinasan nyo at pina-push up ko at hindi kaya ang 40 push-ups, hahanapin ko kung sino ang nagpapasa sa kanya. At pag makita natin kung sino yun, kasama siya sa ating i-dismiss.
Ayan, so sinabi ni General Torre, di ba, kung may nakita siyang medyong feeling niya physically weak na police, papa 40 push-ups niya. Kung hindi daw maka 40 push-ups at the very least, kung sino ang nag-train dito at nagpasa dito, madi-dismiss din. So, kumbaga, very strict
Command
na si...
responsibility.
I remember si Senator
Ping Lacson
also had a similar program.
Yung
pero
siya, PNP chief at that time during Estrada's time. Tama? Diba?
Yeah, pero it's not
Bata pa ako nun Pinapakita sa news yung mga malalaking dyan na pulis.
Bata artista na ako nun. Pero hindi. Sa panahon ni Senator Ping, hindi ganito ka-rigid yung program.
Pinagbabawal lang.
Pinagbabawal. Ang pinaka-baseline lang ni Senator Ping at that time was yung waistline, no? Ito kasi...
pero kasi nakasaad yan sa batas pala, sa
rules,
no?
5%, 5
kilos.
No, 5 point percentage points sa basal metabolic index above your required weight or below.
Kaya nga daw kung halimbawa kung big bone ka, hindi ka pwedeng mag-excuse. Big bone kasi ako Kasi ina-adjust naman yung depende sa
BMI naman
height
yan
mo and
BMI, body mass index yan. So in other words, yung muscle to fat to water. Nakikita yan. Hindi ka rin pwede maging sobrang payat. Sabi ni PNP Chief.
So kung ang shift mo is 8 to 5, at 3 o'clock, pwede ka nang umalis para sumali dun sa mga fitness program ng, kunyari, presinto ninyo, ganyan.
At tinatanong ng mga tao, bakit si Rendon, parang ano ba ang qualification?
Well, fitness guru ba siya?
Well, no, he's a known workout personality, but he is also the son of a retired police general. At for context, parang narinig ko, hindi siya binabayaran. Parang he's doing it for free. But syempre, in return, he gets to have content. Diba? So, parang win-win solution for both parties.
But I get it
pero
also
maganda
kasi maganda siya dahil tama naman yung sinabi ni yung spokesperson nila, si Colonel, hindi na siya Colonel ngayon.
Brigadier General Fajardo. Paano ka naman tatakbo kung hindi ka mamabitbit sarili mo? And lastly, aside from yung weight, ang sinasabi ni General Torre, pag hindi ka marunong, kunyari randomly pinili ka ni General Torre, kailangan pupunta ka sa shooting range. Papakita mo yung accuracy mo sa shooting using the pistol. Pwede ka ma-dismiss kung hindi ka rin asintado. So very tight.
Itaas natin yung kalidad ng mga policemen natin, kumbaga.
You're fit, you take care of your lifestyle, alam mo gamitin yung weapon mo. Minsan sabi nila, may mga nagsasabing police, minsan daw tinetesting daw ni General Torre yung in his earlier years when he was in the other yung naka-assign sa CIDG, testing niya yung kaalaman mo sa yung mga processes ng protocol ng pag-raid, titignan niya yung mga
actually,
alam
I remember nung nasa QCPD pa siya, if I'm not mistaken, he also
drones.
Yung mga drones, diba? Yung drone programs dun sa niya sa station.
Tsaka ngayon yung ilang minutes? 5-minute response.
5-minute response, 911. So baka naman mamaya malate sila kasi nag-exercise pa.
Hindi. ang exercise nito is bago mag-8 ng umaga
Hindi, pero sabi nga dun sa kanina sa balita, 8 to 5 yung shift mo, you're allowed to leave ng 3 o'clock to join yung fitness program ng station or
ng pambansang health guru ng kapulisan.
So tingnan natin, balikan natin kung talagang papayat yung mga ibang mga...
So 93-day challenge. We'll get back to that in 93 days and check out the progress.
Alright, in other news, most people go on road trips using a car or motorcycle. But one man traveled around the Philippines using only an electric unicycle. Para bigyan ng mukha ang balita, Mobile Journal, Ivan Tarinque.
Karamihan sa atin pag sinabing road trip, nasa kotse o motorsiklo agad ang nasa isip. Pero ang isa nating kapatid, inikot ang Pilipinas. Gamit lang ang electric unicycle.
22 araw at halos 4,600 kilometers. Yan ang nilakbay ni Joshua Cruz sakay ng kanyang electric unicycle. Dahil dyan, siya ang kauna-unahang Philippine looper gamit lang ang iisang gulong. Limitado ang kanyang dala, 4 na pares lang ng damit. At kapag lobat na ang unicycle, charge din pag may time sa kung saan pwedeng makisaksak.
Also, police station, fire station, restaurants, inns, lahat yan. Siyempre, dadaan mo lang talaga sa tamang pakikiusap. Mostly amazing mga police stations.
Planado rin ang bawat ruta. Dapat makapunta sa mga required na checkpoint sa loob ng takdang araw para makonsider na legit ang Philippine Loop. Dahil araw-araw ang biyahe, hindi niya nakalimutan ng safety first. Suot ang riding jacket, gloves na may palm sliders, riding pants, at helmet para protektado kahit mag 50 km per hour siya sa isang gulong lang.
Para just in case na ma-accident, gaganon ko lang yung kamay ko para hindi maano yung wrist. Kasi isa yun sa mga mas naka-exposed yung arms.
At kagaya ng lahat ng trip, may kinakaharap din siyang aberya. Ang nag-iisa niyang gulong nabutas habang papuntang norte, pero tuloy pa rin siya. Ang simpleng adventure. Sa huli, nag-i-advocacy na rin para kay Joshua para ipalaganap ang awareness tungkol sa electric vehicles na mas nakakabuti sa kalikasan.
Magiging aware na rin sila na, there's already this existing type of group of vehicles na mas greener.
May mga nagbabiyahe para mag-relax. May iba naman ginagamit ang biyahe para mas makilala ang ganda ng Pilipinas at ang kakayahan ng makabagong teknolohiya. Mobile Journal, Ivan Tarinque po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Galing naman niya.
Interesting unicycle.
Nakakapagod yun
I've seen that sa BGC.
My cousin, di ba nag-unicycle?
Talaga?
Oo. Mamaya kwento ko sa'yo.
Ay!
Okay.
Nako, kakainit ng ulo mga oil price hikes ng estimate nito for as of sa June 24. We have a possible increase sa gasoline naman. That's 2 pesos and 50 centavos up to 3 pesos centavos per liter. Sa diesel naman, we have 4 pesos and 30 centavos up to 4 pesos and 80 centavos per liter. And kerosene, 4 pesos 25 centavos up to 4 pesos and 40 centavos. Nagtataasan na
still,
lahat.
dahil volatile yung market natin ngayon dahil dun sa nangyayari ngayon sa
Israel.
Israel.
That's right. We haven't seen kasi the response of the US yet. So, ewan ko natin magiging tugon ni Modi if this persists, di ba, talagang will they consider kahit 1 peso because Magkano? 600 to 800 pesos for 18 hours ang net take home ng isang driver. Kulang yun.
Pero dun sa sinasabi ng LTFRB na 1 peso, provisional lang yun. Although it's across the board, hindi rin siya madadagdagan ng yung usual na hike na per kilometer. Yun lang muna. At pwede rin bumaba kaagad kung mag-stabilize yung oil prices in the market.
Pero ang worry nila is yung commuters, baka they might look for alternative transport if it gets. Kasi alam mo naman, kahit piso, malaking bagay.
Kaya diba sabi ko sa yung mga bus operators, nag-backtrack sila nung fare hike nila proposal because naramdaman nila na merong pagbaba ng mga pasahero sa kanilang hanay sa mga
Kasi
bus.
may P2P ka, meron kang MRT, LRT.
Kasi ang dami na ngayon nagmumotor, marami nagbabike, diba? So, yun, nababawasan din.
Di ba hindi ka marunong mag-bike?
Uy, I know how to ride a bike.
You know how to ride a bike?
Yes. Gusto mo mag-bike tayo? Baka ikaw.
Ano challenge? Sige, mag-weight loss tayo, tapos mag-challenge tayo. Quezon City to Manila Bay and back. Yan ang end goal pag New Year.
Okay.
Sige. I-vlog natin. Live yan.
Ikaw,
habang naka-news and views, yan. Hi guys, welcome to my stream. Di ba mga ganon?
Okay.
Pinapasaya ko lang naman ang araw kasi masyado ng seryoso tayo dito sa News and
Views. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
Maraming
salamat everyone. And because of that, I don't have a quote. I forgot. Utang ako for next week. And that wraps
up. Choose kindness. Every day, choose kindness.
Yan ang quote. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views. Maging mabait sa husband.
Join us again on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm sure I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.